Members of the Department of Government Efficiency who own or even work for businesses that stand to benefit tremendously from the government data that they're now able to access, well, they've been kind of revealed little by little by the reporters over at Wired. The latest example is what's happening over at the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And I want to talk a little bit about some of the Department of Government Efficiency employees or personnel that are now kind of involved in HUD and have access to a lot of personal private data that they definitely want access to, not because they're trying to root out, corruption or waste or fraud or abuse, but this is the kind of data that their businesses would really benefit from. So let's get to the details. You have Scott Langmack, who's identified himself as, or identified himself to HUD as a senior advisor to the Department of Government Efficiency. According to his LinkedIn, Scott Langmack is the chief operating officer for Cocoon, a property technology company that is, according to its website, on a long-term mission to aggregate the hardest to find data. Now, where would you find super hard to find data when it comes to housing in America?
Anna, it wouldn't be the Housing and Urban Development Agency, would it?
I think it would be, Jake. I think it would be.
So, a populist takeover through DOGE with corporate CEOs and COOs, that's pretty appropriate, COO, and they're gonna get to see all of the data that they want. And guess what they're in the business of? Not just real estate data collection.
Exactly, yes.
This is a corporate takeover over the government.
So as Wired reports, Cocoon focuses on helping homeowners and real estate investors assess the return on investment they'd get from renovating their properties, and also on predictive analytics that essentially model property values and whether or not they're going to rise, right? So again, this is incredibly important data over at HUD that they now have access to. Now in April of 2024, Cocoon was one of the 8 companies selected to receive support from REACH, an accelerator run by the venture capital arm of the National Association of Realtors. Last year, NAR agreed to a settlement with the Missouri homebuyers who alleged that realtor fees and certain listing requirements were anti-competitive. By the way, here's something that also makes Langmack's job over at DOGE and the access that he has so problematic, because he has application level access to some of the most critical and sensitive systems inside HUD, one of which contains records mapping billions of dollars in expenditures. But he's not the only person. So another individual who's now employed through the Department of Government Efficiency is Michael Mirsky. Michael Mirsky works for TCC Management, which is a company based in Michigan that owns and operates mobile home parks throughout the United States. Now, he also has the authority to directly modify who can access various HUD systems and data. Now, HUD has an oversight role in the mobile home space, which appears to have recently wiped its website. It's been a growing area of HUD's work and focus over the past few decades, says one source there. This includes setting building standards, inspecting factories, and taking in complaints. This presents another potential conflict of interest. And DOGE operatives have access to 5 different HUD systems, and also according to a HUD source with direct knowledge, this gives the DOGE operatives access to vast troves of data. Now, if you're wondering what that data is, let's go to graphic 6 here. It ranges from the individual identities of every single federal public housing voucher holder in the United States, along with their financial information, to information on the hospitals, nursing homes, multifamily housing, and senior living facilities that HUD helps finance, as well as data on everything from homelessness rates to environmental and health hazards to federally insured mortgages. I mean, this is insane. Like, look, Elon Musk and his conflicts of interest, bad enough. But when you have 2 individuals who work in housing and real estate related entities outside of DOGE, who make money in those companies outside of DOGE and have talked about the importance of collecting data as part of their businesses. Like having them involved with housing and urban development and having the kind of access they do to all this data is a problem. Can people just admit that, please? Please admit it's a problem. Please admit that if Biden were still in charge and he did these shenanigans, heads would be exploding, including ours, because this is wrong. It's just wrong.
I literally can't imagine a bigger conflict of interest. Their business is structured on collecting data on housing, and the more data they have, the more profitable their business is. And we just handed them all of the secret data on housing in America. And MAGA is telling us, or Trump is telling us, Elon's telling us, DOGE for sure is telling us, don't worry, they're angels. So even though it would tremendously help their businesses, don't worry, they won't look in that way. Like even if they can't extract information, which some of this is read-only, but 3 huge parts are not read-only. They can actually extract the information. Okay, one guy is the chief operating officer of a company just like this. The other guy is a specialist on how to extract data. Guys, come on, come on. I mean, anyone, a Democrat or Republican that did this, you'd be like, are you insane? And what I thought DOGE was supposed to be like, oh, these guys that are in there, maybe tech savvy folks, et cetera, looking for waste, fraud, and abuse. No, it's like literally corporate executives in those fields. So my question to not just MAGA, but to everybody is, so who's watching the watchers? If they extract that information, how the hell would we know? Oh, good news that you're right. Yeah, there's inspector generals for each. Oh no, they fired all the inspector generals. The very first thing they did was firing all the inspector generals. So there's literally no one to watch over these corporate executives as they have access in almost every department to the information that would help their businesses. This is a robbery. So, and if they take the info, I literally don't know how we can catch them. So
we're not
it's probably
gonna
gone.
catch them. They're gonna take the data back to their companies. They're gonna make a ton of money off of it, and there's nothing we can do. Honestly, that's the reality of the situation.
They're also doing cuts in HUD. Yeah, let's go efficiency. Okay, so they're cutting a department that would help with homelessness by about 84%. Okay, they're cutting public housing, but wait. If you cut the things that helps homelessness and you cut public housing, you're gonna have a lot more homelessness. How does that, wait, I thought Republicans wanted less homelessness. So, and if you say, hey, no, we did an analysis and we found those programs aren't actually helping the homeless, you'd have huge allies here. We believe that is enormously possible. We know that's true in California, we know that's true in LA. I bet you could find it at HUD, right? But they didn't do that analysis. They're just cutting. So then more homelessness is nearly guaranteed. Last thing, they're also cutting aid to first-time home buyers. How does that help? One of the things that Trump said is, we got to help people buy homes and home prices are going too high, et cetera. Now, the only thing in the government that helped you to buy a home as a first-time homeowner, they're gonna cut.
I know.
But don't worry, they have all the information on real estate, so they'll get richer. Wow, that's such a comfort to us.
I know, but look, right now, what's driving up home prices is the lack of available homes to buy. So we need to build, we need to build a lot.
All of these are factors, but they're not helping on that front. They're making it worse on this front. And the only people that are helped are apparently corporate executives in real estate. Congratulations on a populist revolution. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.